because Peerless builds America's best boilers. Time in the studio right now is 11:32. We just wrapped up with Obi and Echionia talking some Temple basketball. Now we'll shift gears to the football team. National Signing Day happened a few weeks ago. A lot of news coming with the football schedule coming out for the Temple football team. So we'll welcome into the studio now the head coach of your Temple Owls, and that's Matt Rhule. Coach, great to see you again. How are you?
I'm doing well. Great to see you as well.
Well, we appreciate you coming on in today, and I know you got your Starbucks coffee in hand.
I'm good.
How many cups of coffee do you think the average college football coach drinks?
Probably between 6 to 12, depending on what the season, you know. I mean, I think the guys that drink coffee in our staff, we drink quite a bit.
I'm not a big coffee guy. I haven't reached that stage in my life yet. I'm more of like an Earl's Grey kind of tea. I don't like coffee.
I mix the coffee with a Blue Monster, and I mean, I'm trying to ride high as long as I can all day, you know.
That's why when we're doing the recruiting show, National Signing Day, we see Coach Rhule come out of the building screaming, "Turned down for what?" Is that where all that energy comes from?
Well, yeah. And then I usually crash about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, but I try to hit the day running.
And you got young kids, too. Like, how do you deal with it?
I put them to bed at 8 o'clock. So we all go to bed at the same time.
Daddy, can I watch the Sixers game today at 9 o'clock? No, you're going to bed. Dad's got to go to bed.
That's the key to happy life having kids is get them to go to bed early and hang out with them, you know, in the evening.
And also a happy wife.
That's exactly
as well.
Right.
See, I'm learning. At my young age of only 20 years old, I learned quickly. All right. So Matt Rhule joins us in the studio right now, head football coach of your Temple Owls. The schedule came out. The big headline names on the schedule. Penn State, opening day. It's going to be September 5th. Time still be to announce. And then, obviously, Notre Dame comes to town on October 31st. The big questions that I get from fans that follow your football team is, how is the offense going to get better? What do you envision this offense looking like game one up against Penn State when we start the football season?
I think you know, I mean, we've had a bunch of 500-yard games, you know, I mean, not enough of them, but we've shown people that we can be, you know, we can score 30, 40, 50 points. I mean, you know, for us to think that we beat a team like UConn 36-10 and really probably could have scored 40 points. I mean, we were nice, and Vanderbilt. So we had some games like that early, and just like anything else, man, you lost a little bit of confidence, kind of lost our way there. I put that all on my shoulders. I think we have a bunch of good players on offense. I think we'll get right back to being a dynamic, tough, physical offense. And, you know, we'll make the same progress on offense this year that we made last year on defense. And we'll put it all together, you know, in this third year moving forward.
I know there's been some moves in the coaching staff that you can't talk about because they haven't been officially announced, but when you guys sit there as a coaching staff, when it's you and Coach Satterfield and you evaluate the quarterback position and P.J. Walker, people evaluate, I'm talking outside people, not a football, media, the fans, they really evaluate that third year, and this is going to be your third year. It's going to be P.J.'s third year. When you look at P.J. and you saw all the potential he had freshman year, and then comes in, you guys look like you're going to a bowl game in his second year, but he's turning over the football too much. What are some things that P.J. Walker really needs to improve on to get this team to where they're going to want to be next year?
He just has to eliminate the turnovers. I mean, you know, I don't think he had enough help around him to make the plays that we'd want to make. But you know, if he can eliminate turnovers, we'll win a lot of games with our defense, with the growth. You know what? We lost Kenny Harper, we lost Jalen Fitzpatrick, we lost Wanemi Amuso, but everyone else is back. The entire offensive line is back, and so, you know, I think if he can just eliminate the turnovers, he's such a dynamic player. He makes enough plays that we'll win a lot of games.
I know you said on National Signing Day that there's going to be competition. You want competition at every position because what competition does is makes you play at your best and bring it each and every day in practice. What does that quarterback position look like from a competition standpoint as you're preparing now? You had Matt Jules this morning and all that other great stuff.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of competitive kids there. You know, Logan March, he came in this spring. He's a really good athlete. He's competitive. You know, we had him in camp with us last year, and actually preseason camp, and then he went home. So we've seen him play. I think he's got some talent. We'll see what he does in the spring. Frank Newtow tore his ACL. He's a really hard-nosed, tough kid. I mean, he wants to find a way to get on the field. Lenny Williams, we signed last year. He redshirted. He's another really good athlete. And then we have some other kids, you know, John Lockery transferred in here, and he's eligible, we think, to play right away. Tim DeGiorgio. So there's a bunch of guys there. The first time in a long time we've had 4 scholarship quarterbacks and really 6 guys that could play for us.
So taking a look at the quarterback position, best friend for the quarterback is the running back. And last year, your backs didn't consistently have good efforts. On National Signing Day, you're bringing 3 really talented guys, and a T.J. Simmons, you bring in Armstead and also Gardner as well. What are the expectations for those 3 running backs right away coming up for this year?
Well, we want to get back to the point where we have one feature back, and then we have a complimentary back to him and maybe a third down back. But we're not playing it by committee. We'd like to find one guy, and so whether it's the guys that are here, Zaire Williams had 500 yards as a freshman. I mean, he was hurt this year, and he's back now. He's working out hard. David Hood played a little bit early, and then he ended up redshirting. He's a really dynamic, explosive kid. And then Jamie Gilmore's a kid that we've always known what he could do, but he's kind of been on the periphery. And now, watching him work out, he works out like, I'm not letting some freshman take my job. And Jahad Thomas, I thought he had some, good moments this year. So there's 4 kids there that hopefully one of them will step up. And there's 3 kids coming in, and may the best man win. Go out there and show us who can do it. So I want to have one guy just be the guy and have the other guys sort of complement and accentuate him.
You take a look at the American Athletic Conference, and to me the most interesting part about the conference is one day you could be playing on the East Coast, then you could be going down south, and you guys have to really expand your regions and your horizons from a geography standpoint when you're recruiting these kids. When you get a kid like TJ Simmons from Florida, how do you get a kid from Florida to commit to Temple University?
Well, I think you begin by trying to just build a rapport, and that rapport turns into a relationship. And there's so many ways to do it now. It's not just like when I was getting started in coaching where you were on the phone. I mean, we're talking to kids on Facebook, we're talking to them on Twitter. Even when TJ committed to UCLA, and we continue to maintain that relationship and continue to talk to those kids and where they begin to feel comfortable with us. And then it comes down to, hey, come up and take a look. We have this unbelievable university. We have this unbelievable opportunity here at Temple. Just come take a look. And usually when people come to campus, they get to Philadelphia, they meet our players, they meet our staff, they walk around campus, they go to Morgan, they go to the student center, they come in this building, they say, you know what, I can see myself going here. And then we just fight like heck down the stretch. So I think as you travel around the country, Zach, there are people that recognize what a Temple degree means, recognize what coming to Philadelphia for school means, and they want to be a part of it. So it's easier than it sounds.
How much do you find just the Temple brand? Because I know ever since you got here, you say, I want to expand the Temple T. I want the Temple T to be a force that everyone knows no matter what household that you go into. When you sit there on a football Sunday and a kid sees Terrence Knighton playing in a Super Bowl 2 years ago, or Brandon McManus kicking for the Broncos, Muhammad Wilkerson, or even from a coaching standpoint, Todd Bowles, who was a Temple player, is now the head coach of the Jets. And then you have Bruce Arians, who's been one of, if not the best coaches in football over the last 3 years. They all have Temple ties. How much does that help you? Do kids really identify that, hey, there's Temple players that are really in the NFL?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think they see Temple and all those lights, and they feel so much more comfortable with it. And then, they turn on our basketball team, and they see them playing, and they see the high level that they play at. They see the excitement, from the Cherry Crusade. They see the fans and the thing, and they feel so much more comfortable with Temple. And then, then they start to walk around, and they, like we're down recruiting a kid in New Orleans, and one of the guidance counselors, she went to Temple. A teacher, she got her master's degree at Temple. So there's alumni, all over the country. And so as kids, see us on TV, they see all the football players that have done these things. They see us play basketball on TV, and then they start to talk to people. Oh, my cousin went. They realize what a great place this is, and it makes it just that much more comfortable, that much more recognizable for them to say, you know what, I want to go to Temple.
On National Signing Day, I asked you this question of how much could playing another sport help you determine what a kid could do in a football standpoint? And you joked that Brandon McManus is not the best basketball player in the world. And I know I just mentioned McManus a few minutes ago. So I'll bring this up to you. I texted that to Brandon McManus. We exchanged on Twitter.
He tweeted at me. He was upset,
yeah. Is he really not a good basketball player? Because he swears to me that he was a good basketball player.
You just had Obi in here, right?
He's no Obi in
Etionia. With relation to him, I played this morning at 7 o'clock. I shot a couple hoops. I like to think that I'm good, but I'm not, right? I think Brandon was probably good for the North Penn, whatever CYO league. He was probably an average player, but he certainly wasn't. He certainly wasn't some of the guys we've had on our team. He wasn't Adam DeMichael or anybody like that.
Head football coach of the Temple Owls, Matt Rhule, joins us in studio. Zach Gelb here with you. WHIP Radio in Philadelphia, all via iHeartRadio. Make sure you download the iHeartRadio today on your mobile devices and tablets. The confidence with this wide receivers and tight end unit. Last year, Colin Thompson, I know injury derailed him a little bit from getting out onto the field, but when he got on, there was some catches that he could have made. Same with Keith Kirkwood. That Memphis game was the one game that really stands out to me, where PJ played well and the receivers and tight ends just didn't help him out securing the football. Where's your confidence level with the wide receivers and tight ends as we get ready to enter next year?
Well, from the receiving standpoint, I think they're going to be a good group. They're big, they're physical. There's a lot of kids we redshirted last year that I think they are going to add to the group. So, they don't maybe have the resume behind them that you say, hey, they're a force to be reckoned with. But I think that they've played a lot of football, or they've got a lot of potential and they've redshirted, and they're going to, as a group, go out there and play at a high level. Like when Ramon DeLoach was on, and when we were able to get the ball to him, guys couldn't cover him. I mean, now that wasn't every game, but at the end of the year, even against Tulane, we could just throw the ball up and Ramon could just kind of go catch it to win the game against Tulane. So I think there's a lot of guys there that if they just take the next step, and that's the thing that I'm trying to do right now, and it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy. As the head coach, I'm trying to do it. Our staff's trying to do it. And here's what's awesome. A lot of our players are trying to do it. The Ionitis, the Kyle Friends. We're just trying to make guys take that last step to go from being 6-6 to competing for a championship. And, we love the guys that we lost, but we didn't lose very many guys. And, I'm watching the Combine. We didn't have anybody at the Combine, but a lot of other teams did. And so a lot of teams lost players that, a lot of players that played for them, and we lost a couple. And so if just these guys can just take another step, we can make a huge, huge jump. To go from 2-10 to 6-6 is hard to do, right? And we did it. Now we want to go from 6-6 to 10-2. You know what I mean? And if not better. I mean, that's not easy to do. It's really hard. And one or two of those wideouts stepping up would really make a big difference.
Each situation is different when you're deciding to redshirt a kid. And I know when kids are getting recruited, they're going to want to come in and play right away. It's no longer this foreign concept of, hey, you could come in and start right away. How do you make that decision of having to redshirt a kid? Because I know it's tough. Like, you had a lot of guys that could have helped you last year possibly play on your roster, but for the future of the program, it's probably better if they take that year off.
Yeah, I think for guys that are like on the offensive and defensive line, guys that really need physical development, you take some time. Like, for instance, we have a kid named Brendan Thrift who came in and he was about 240. And
everyone keeps on saying Thrift.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Phil Snow won't stop talking about it.
He has a chance to be a good player. And Thrift, he's about 240, and he wants to play, and he's upset he's redshirted. Well, now he's 275, 280 pounds, right? And he's way more mature and way tougher, and he's still got 4 years left. So it was in his best interest, though he might not have known it. Now, what could he have helped us? Probably a little bit. Yeah, he probably could have helped us. But, you have him, you have Freddie Booth-Lloyd, you have Michael Dogby. They had a chance to develop their bodies, same on the offensive line. So I think when it comes to guys that need size and strength to develop, it's in their best interest if you can do it. And we've done it with pretty much every offensive lineman except for Dion since I've been here. And then, with everyone else, if they're ready to play, we're going to use them. If they're kind of ready but not quite, you know what? It's in their best interest. I mean, everyone wants to play until they realize there's some pressure in playing, right? They realize, like, oh, I really have to be ready. I really, and so we just make that decision as we go. Some guys are ready, some guys aren't.
You take a look at the defense, and you said it. Everyone returns for you guys. You don't lose pretty much anyone on the defensive side of the ball. If you're an impact player last year, you're coming back on defense, and you have to be all giddy about that because your defense was a top 10 defense in the nation last year, and they were unbelievable. Also in the red zone, taking away turnovers, something you didn't see 2 years ago. They made a big leap from 2 years ago to what we saw last year. How does this defense, though, get better?
Well, I think they can get a lot better. I mean, we were average versus the run. We're in the 50s versus the run, and I think as we get better at linebacker, if we can, if Dvorak can come back, if some of these other defensive linemen can come back, if we can take a step in the run game, then we have a chance to be way, way better. And I think if they want to be considered an elite defense, they've got to put games away, right? Like, you just, you can't go to Memphis and, have it be 13-13 or whatever it was, 10-10, and have them come back and score. They have to do what they did at Tulane and end the game. And so too many times this year we didn't execute in the 2 minute. Cincinnati was able to score for us. So it seems like a little thing, right? I mean, all the stats are great, but you're measured by wins and losses. And the defense to take the next step, to me, would be to be even better against the run, and then to put games away. The other team has the ball. You have a chance to win the game. You need Praise Martin to go sack the quarterback then. It's great in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Now go be elite and do it at the end of the game. End the game. Let's go celebrate. That's how you win championships, and that's what our defense has to do this year.
You have a background in the NFL. You spent a year with the Giants. Who does Michael Dogby remind you of? Just because I saw the video you guys released about him the other day, bench pressing. I couldn't even probably do 3 of those reps. Like, now 3 even maybe me gloating a little bit and trying to make myself sound that more confident. But Jesus, oh my God, like this guy is a physical specimen freak of nature, and he will be a big factor for you guys.
Yeah, and he's not even the strongest guy on the team. I mean, Kyle Friends did 43 reps. He set our record for us. So, but Michael, he reminds me like of a Chris Canty type, kind of a tweener between an end and a tackle. Really big, physical, and strong. Really good kid, and he just has to find a way, start playing and find a way to translate all that natural strength, because he has unbelievable natural strength. You just have to translate it into how you play, right? You have to play with strength, and I think he will. I mean, he works really hard. He's really productive in high school, and I was glad he was able to get a medical red shirt this year.
Matt Rhule joins us in the studio right now, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. When I take a look at the recruiting class that you guys brought in from a defensive standpoint, the first name that jumps off the list to me, obviously, is Kareem Ali. You have Alex Wells already in here. You have Tavon Young, Champ. You have a lot of guys that helped you out in that secondary. I know Anthony Davis probably going to miss the year because of that injury. How can Kareem Ali help you immediately in that secondary?
Well, I think he's going to go compete to play. I mean, I think he's going to compete to at least be the third corner, because we played a lot with three corners this year just because of the league. And then, he's going to, challenge Tavon and Champ to get on the field. And, we don't want to have one corner play the entire game. We love to be able to rotate guys, which we did early in the year. We had 3 bye weeks last year. This year, coming up, we only have 1. So you've got to be able to go. We think we play 3 games, and then it's a bye, and then you've got to go 9 straight before you even get into the postseason. So, I think Kareem's going to, challenge to be a starter. He's a really athletic kid, but more importantly, he's tough and smart, which if you have those 2 things, you have a chance always.
And last year we saw Champ take the train down, study up the schemes and everything, because Phil Snow's scheme does take a long time to learn. That was evident by the turnaround in the last 2 years. Kareem's already here, so that has to help you guys out to a big advantage of getting him going.
Yeah, we can work with him. Francis can work with him all spring and coach him and get the technique right. Because at that position, if you don't have technique, you can cover average guys, but you're not going to go cover the kids from Penn State, the kids from Cincinnati. The first 2 games, you're talking about Penn State and Cincinnati.
It's a tough start.
Yeah, you're going to see some wideouts that, after those 2 games, you'll kind of take a breath, not to disrespect anybody else, but, Cincinnati's wideouts are as good as anybody in the country, right? So, you better have some technique to defend those guys. And, so we'll coach him and get him ready. And, he's in the mat drills. He's there this morning at 5:45, and, he's, learning how to deal with us under hostile conditions, under hard conditions in the morning, which makes the games that much easier.
So taking a look, I know you were talking about the combine earlier. When people ask me now, like, who are the guys that could possibly be in the NFL in a year or 2 from Temple, I take a look at the defense, and I think the first 2 guys that come to mind are Tyler Medikevich and Matt Ioannidis. What do you want to challenge them to do in their senior year? Because I remember you said with Jalen Fitzpatrick, it's seniors either do 2 things. They either give it their all to their university, which Jalen did, or they start thinking about the next level. I think Tyler and Matt are going to give it all to their university this year, because that's just the kind of people they are. They could both possibly play in the NFL, though, right?
Oh, yeah. I think they. I'm confident they both will. I think we'll have a lot more than just those 2. But I think, if you're an NFL player, you should dominate in college, right? I mean, that just makes sense, right? So, I mean, that's why I'm not afraid to talk about the NFL with them. They're both going to get their degrees. They're both really good students. I think Tyler Medikevich this year, I think he, was 2nd or 3rd in the country in tackles and had the 3.4 GPA at the same time in the fall. I mean, he's everything that we want to talk about. So I want him to go to the NFL. And if you go to the NFL, you probably dominated in college. And that's what they have to do. They've played really, really, really well. I mean, what do you do as a senior? You just dominate. You take it to a whole other level. And based upon the way they're working right now, I would think that they are. For Matt, I think Matt's a guy that makes a lot of plays inside. I want to see him take the next step of getting to the quarterback even more. And I think for Tyler, he's already proven that he can do a lot of things. It's just continuing that process of just adding other parts to his game, whether it's man-to-man coverage, whether it's blitz, becoming a better blitzer. As you look at Tyler, for one thing he could work on is probably to become a dominant blitzer. But there are 2 other guys, but we'll have a lot of other guys, I think, that'll have a chance to play at the next level.
No question. As a few more questions with Matt Rhule, who joins us in studio right now. Obviously, this town, it's a pro football town. We know that. College, hey, I tell everyone all the time, come down to a Temple game. You're not going to be sorry. It's an absolutely tremendous atmosphere, and you guys have a good brand of football on the field now. But you're close with Chip Kelly. I've seen him at your games over the last 2 years. I've supposedly he's talked to the team, stuff like that. What do you learn from Chip Kelly when you interact with a guy like that?
Well, I think he's found a way to win, and he's found a way to win in college, which is important for us, right? He found a way to take an Oregon program. It was a really good program. When I was in college, we played him in the Rose Bowl and make it elite. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're not trying, like I was telling the guys this morning, we've had a bunch of 8 and 9 win seasons. It's not like we're just trying to get back to that. We want to take the next step even beyond that to be elite, and that's what he did at Oregon. And then he's translated it here. He's done it in Philadelphia. He's done it in this environment, in this weather. I think the biggest thing with him is no matter who gets injured, no matter what happens, man, he just sort of stays even keel, and he just continues to push everything forward. And, if there's one thing I've worked really hard at, it's trying to do that. I'm an emotional guy. I'm a fiery guy. You might not see it, when I'm here with you, but, trying to force myself to really, when guys get hurt, when we win a game, when we lose a game, just to keep moving forward. Don't worry about what just happened. Keep moving forward. That's one thing that I see him do, and I learn a lot from him.
You obviously know a lot more football than I do, so I'm going to get your take on this. Obviously, you take a look at the talk of the town right now. Is Chip going to go out there and get his guy Marcus Mariota from Oregon? There's only 3 teams ever recruited Marcus Mariota when he was in college. We all know when he won a Heisman, lost in the national championship game, but still got there. Or is he going to stick with Nick Foles? Let's say if you were Chip Kelly, would you go trade up for Marcus Mariota, maybe make a deal with the Jets or 6? Or are you going to keep with your guy Nick Foles?
Well, he's way smarter than me, so let's just say that. So I don't pretend, but I would absolutely stick with Nick Foles, and here's why.
You're a big fan of him, right?
Well, I don't even know him. I don't really watch him. Other than if you can find me a guy in the NFL that's won 10 games as a starter, or that's won a division, won the NFC East as a starter, then I'm going to go ahead and bank on that guy, And so, he's been able to do it with 2 different guys this year, with Foles and Sanchez this year, and with Foles the first year. I mean, you know what? When you draft a guy, it's a 50-50 proposition at best. And so I know Marcus is talented. I know he's probably going to be a great pro. But, I got a 50-50 proposition in one hand, and I've got a pretty certain guy that I know can win 10 games. And if I stick with Nick, I can use that draft pick to improve the defense or improve the O-line or wherever else they think they need help. So I think they've got a pretty proven quarterback, and I would probably stay with him.
Final one here as we're on the way out here with Matt Rhule, is kind enough to spend a few minutes with us in studio today. When you take a look at recruiting, just the final recruiting question I have for you, and you're making all these promises. Every college coach is trying to tell a parent why their university is the best, why we want your kid, our academics. We all know the pitch that you guys give. But when a parent sits there and says, hey, Matt, I'm going to trust you with my kid, my child, for 4 years, and you have kids. You know how valuable that relationship is between a parent and a child. I'm trusting you to be their father figure for 4 years. How are you going to improve them as a man, not only on the field but off the field? What's your response to that question?
Well, I think the way we do that is by holding people accountable for everything that that they do. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that are fathers or that are big brothers, that are mentors, right? But I have kids. If I let my kids do whatever they want, right? Because my son likes to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
If I let him do whatever he wants, he might really like me, right? But he'll never learn what it means to be a man. He'll never grow up. He'll never attain his what he could do, right? He'll never reach greatness. Part of this job, whether it's being a parent or being a coach, is making people not do what they want to do, but do what they need to do. And that's my promise to them, is that, as best I can, I'm going to make sure that, your son goes to class, and I'm going to make sure that he takes notes and does his own work and becomes educated. I'm going to make sure that he works his hardest in the weight room. I'm going to make sure that he does as much as I can get him to do the right things off the field. I can't be them, but I'm going to make sure that they understand they have to do these things. And if they do them, if they learn how to do those things while they're here, they'll become a man. They'll be accountable for their actions. What they say they mean, they'll do. They'll be what they all want them to be. And it's no different than being a parent. I can't promise that they're going to do it, just like I can't promise that my son Bryant's going to do it, but I can sure as heck try. It means along the way, Zach, sometimes people aren't really going to like you that much, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always telling
Tell you
them
how it is.
Right. But
when I mess up, my father tells me, hey,
Yeah.
you're doing this wrong. When I
That's it.
doing an interview and he says, you messed this up, I know the first thing I'm looking at my phone right after the interview is my dad texting me saying, you screwed up that.
That's it. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think my goal is that 2 years after kids graduate, for them to feel like, I really appreciated my time there. And that's, they might not like me along the way, though you'd love if they did. But 2 years after the fact, you hope they do. And I think, when parents bring their kids here and they meet our kids on the team, and they say, hey, they really care about how we end up, not just on the field but off, I think it has merit.
and this is how we end every show every day because we're almost out of time. We play some high hopes, so I know Ed Foley would be happy about this. 4:25, you can catch it. The Cherry and White game, April 25th, 1 o'clock at Chetov Field, Edinburgh Olson Hall. Great facility as well, where you guys practice each and every day. And then it's opening day, September 5th, up against Penn State. You got to make me a promise. You got to go out there and beat Penn State. I'm sick and tired of dealing with all the tweets from the Penn State Happy Valley people, and I know you played there. But I just can't stand it. Whenever we lose to Penn State, my Twitter blows up, and it annoys me.
It annoys me as well. I can promise you that because I hear it from family members and everybody else. But, you know, we're going to beat Penn State at some point. I certainly hope it's this fall. And, you know, we're closing ground on them one day at a time. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you coming in.
All right, brother.
All right, there's Matt Rhule, head football coach of the Temple Owls. We got to get on out of here, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in with us today. We'll see you next time, everybody. Peace!
Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant.